Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, December 11th, 2025 edition of Douglas Now Live. I'm Robert Preston Jr., and we are live in the Douglas Now Live studios here on West Walker Street in Douglas. A couple of stories I want to get to here this morning. First of all, we've been talking about the annual Christmas parade for quite some time. And with good reason, the Christmas parade is one of the biggest events here in Douglas and Coffee County. There are few events in our community where more people gather in one place at one time than at the Christmas parade. It's always a fun night and a fun event. Tomorrow is the parade, 7 p.m. downtown Douglas. The theme is, of course, holiday movie magic. The Grand Marshal is County Fire Chief and EMA Director Steve Carver. Now, technically and officially, the deadline to enter a float in the parade has passed. But I do believe if you still wanted to get a float in, particularly a small one, you might be able to make that happen. So you can contact the Chamber of Commerce or visit the Chamber of Commerce's Facebook page. There's contact information there. Give them a call, see if they will allow you to squeeze in. But that will take place tomorrow at 7 p.m. Now, we've had a run of rough weather for the last week and a half or so. Tomorrow, if my forecast is correct, it should be an absolutely beautiful night. So it's going to be cool, but not cold. It's going to be clear. No threat of rain. The only thing we're going to have to worry about is a train stopping the parade. And with 24 to 28 trains per day that come through Douglas, it is always a possibility that the parade will be interrupted by a train. And if it is, everybody just stops and waits for the train to pass, and then the parade continues. It does create a bit of a gap if you're watching the parade on the south side of the tracks. On the north side, just hope it's a pretty float that stops in front of you because you're going to get to look at it for a few minutes. But I think that's the only issue that we might have tomorrow, and that's not a big issue, of course, is a train stopping the parade. But again, put that on your calendar, 7 p.m. tomorrow. Now, our picture here on our desk, bring one for the chipper. Christmas tree recycling event, Saturday, January 3rd, 2026, 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Now, you may be asking, why are we going ahead and advertising Christmas tree recycling? Well, we want people to go ahead and plan that. And it's kind of interesting, getting rid of live Christmas trees after Christmas is a pretty big ordeal. And if you don't live in the woods, if you don't live somewhere where you can drag the tree off, or if you have a burn pile where you can safely burn the tree, getting rid of a tree is not an easy process. And in fact, when you ride through the county, it is not uncommon at all to see Christmas trees discarded in ditches on other people's property, things like that. And that's not a good look. All right, we don't need to be doing that. So what the city has done with its partners, the Georgia Forestry Commission, ESG Operations, there are a couple of other partners as well, are hosting this Bring One for the Chipper event. Again, Saturday, January 3rd. Most people leave their trees up till at least New Year's Day, so it's not a problem to leave your tree up for a couple of days after Christmas, or drag it outside, leave it in the yard until it's time to take it here. The address is 1011 Shirley Avenue. It says the corner of Shirley and College Avenue. That is not correct. That is not the corner of Shirley and College Avenue. It is the corner, though, of Shirley and College Park. So that's the big 90-degree curve. If you go through South Georgia State College, when you get to the stop sign on the west end of the college and you go straight for a little ways, you make that hard right curve, okay? If you're going in the opposite direction, you're headed south on Shirley Avenue. After you cross 158, you go past the health department building and the mental, and it's not the main health department building, but one of the health department annex buildings. And then there's the adult mental health facility there as well. You make a hard left, okay? If you're going in that direction and you go straight There's a two-path road that goes back in there. If you go straight, there's a city, I don't want to say dump site, but it's where the city takes a lot of organic material and dumps it there, and they do some chipping and composting and things like that there. That's where this will be. So it's not College Avenue. If you look for the corner of Shirley Avenue and College Avenue, you're going to ride around in circles for quite a while because such an intersection does not exist in the city. But it is College Park Drive. All right. So it's Shirley and College Park there. Again, if you're headed west on College Park, when you get to that hard right-hand curve, you would make a left and go up in there. If you're on Shirley going south, you don't make that left turn. You just go straight on in. There's a two-path road. There's a sign there telling people, it's city property, don't go in. That's where this will be. So if you have a live Christmas tree, you can hang on to it till January 3rd. You can take it here, and they will dispose of it for you free of charge. This is kind of interesting for us because at our house, we have a live tree this year. We have not had a live tree. I don't know how long. 20 years maybe. I don't know. We've been in the current house that we're in now. This is our 22nd year, and I don't think we've had a live tree since we have been in this house. For whatever reason, Heather wanted a live tree this year, and what Heather wants, Heather gets. If she wants a live tree, she gets a live tree. So we have a live tree in the house. Also the interesting thing about this event, and it is noteworthy, just as someone who's kind of a nerd about these kinds of things, you see our date here, 2026. I want to say this is possibly the first time that we've had a news item that mentioned 2026. There may have been something in the past, but I don't remember if it was. It's not ringing a bell, but this is the first time I remember us putting an event out here going into 2026. So it's hard to believe that the year is basically over with now. And from a news standpoint, it's very difficult. Things slow to a halt, come to a halt here during from about this time, the middle of December through maybe January 7th, 8th, when people return back to work and get back on a somewhat of a normal schedule. So yeah, it's going to be, we're going to be scrambling for news over the next couple of weeks. One story that happened here in Douglas and Coffee County that caught statewide attention. This individual here, Davy Deontay Royal, 35. He was the suspect in the Tifton police officer shooting on Friday. He was, we'll still say allegedly, but since he's gone, we don't really have to. But, he was accused of shooting two Tifton police officers, both of whom survived and are at home. One suffered very serious injuries. He was shot in the face. The two police officers were Michael Gaskins and Jerry Fulford, but they have both been released from the hospital and are at home recovering. Now, there was a standoff after in the aftermath of the shooting. Mr. Royal was taken into custody without incident. He was transferred over here to Coffee County and was being held in the Coffee County jail. Now, if you're not familiar with how law enforcement works and how our folks do these things, Coffee County and Tift County have an arrangement where if we need an inmate transferred from our facility for that inmate's safety, then many times we send those inmates to Tift County. Likewise, if Tift County has an inmate that needs to be transported and held at another facility for his or her safety, many times they send that individual over here to Coffee County. And because Mr. Royal shot two Tifton City police officers, it would not be prudent for his safety to keep him in the Tift County jail. Now, some people may say, well, what does that matter? Why are we particularly worried about his safety? Well, the accused have rights, and when they're in the care of a facility, of a jail, you have to take care of them and make sure they are, to the best of your ability, safe and protected and given proper care. And Tift County, I think, wisely thought it would be better for his safety to send him over here to Coffee County. So if you're wondering why he was in the Coffee County jail, That's why. And in fact, the GBI press release that they issued in the aftermath of his arrest said that he was being held in the Coffee County Jail. You can look that press release up. We also posted a portion of it on Douglas Now. So what happened was, I believe it was on Monday night. Mr. Royal took his own life in the Coffee County Jail. Now, a lot of people are asking for more information. A lot of people want to know the details. The details will not be released, although the GBI has confirmed that that he did take his own life. And a lot of people are also asking, well, how do you do that? How does someone take their own life? If you want to harm yourself, you can do it. It's not that difficult. All right. You can take all the precautions in the world, but if someone is bound and determined to injure themselves or to take their own life, they can do so. All right. And that is what happened in this case. Now, whenever there's a death in a jail, the GBI will investigate. All right. So this is not a case of the Coffee County Sheriff's Office investigating itself or investigating an incident that happened on its own property. The GBI did this. Now, if you're one of those who happens to believe, and if you look at the comments and the discussion on Douglas Now, there are a lot of these people out there who believe that someone took Mr. Royal's life. This is when I hear these types of conspiracies, this is what I think about. First of all, how plausible is it? And I think about what it would take to pull something like that off. And if the GBI is investigating it, Tifton Police Department was the agency in which his actions were aimed at. Then, of course, you have the Tift County Sheriff's Office involved because he should be held in the Tift County Jail. They transferred him over here. And then the GBI investigating it. So you have that agency. If you're going to pull off an operation like that, where officers or jail personnel, or if you're going to work with someone who is in the jail to take an individual out, the net that you have to cast, the veil of secrecy under which you have to operate is tremendous. And as when any crime takes place, the more people who know, the more difficult it is to keep it quiet. So just think about the type of conspiracy and the number of people and number of agencies that would be involved if, in fact, there was foul play here. And you also have to keep in mind that the eyes of the state were on this incident. The AJC picked up this story. All right. The flagship printed media outlet in the state, the biggest media outlet, whether you like them or not, they are the biggest. They picked up the story. We were the ones who broke the story first. All right. So if they heard about it, they probably heard about it from us and then went and did their own work and got the story. So I'm not saying they took our story, but we broke this story first. All right. So this is a story that had the eyes of the state upon it. If you're going to cover something like that up, you're going to have to really, really, really spend a lot of money, make a lot of people happy, because when people get disgruntled, the first thing they do is they talk, which is why you can't work with inmates on this. You couldn't work with someone in the jail and say, look, we'll take care of your family. We'll do X, Y, Z if you help us pull this off. Because as soon as that happens, if anything goes wrong in that jail and that inmate gets upset, he's going to spill, or she, such as the case may be, will spill the beans about what happened. All right. From a logistical standpoint, planning, carrying it out, and keeping it quiet when you're dealing with Tift County Police, Tift County Sheriff, GBI, Coffee County Sheriff's Office, jail personnel as well, it's not going to happen. You're not going to keep it quiet. All right. And as distasteful as it is to shoot a police officer, to attempt to kill law enforcement officers, the GBI is not going to cover that up. All right. The GBI is a pretty good agency, to say the least, and they're going to do the right thing. So, and I hate to put it this way, but most people are probably not upset that Mr. Royal took his own life. I would imagine that the people in Tift County, the two officers and their families, would like to know exactly why he did it, what was running through his mind, would like to have some answers, and would like to have the opportunity to confront him in court. But they're not going to get the opportunity. Now, this would not have been a death penalty case. All right. He would not have been, death row would not have been on the table in this particular instance. But for the most part, it was a death sentence. He ended up taking his own life as a result of what happened, and it happened quickly, without the expense of a trial, without the expense of housing him, in our jail or another facility, and then ultimately in prison, because he would have gotten convicted. He would not have gotten off. He would have gotten convicted, or he would have pled guilty and served a long time in prison at 35 years old. For the most part, his life would be over. He would have spent the rest of his life in prison. So I would just go ahead and say this. I do not buy the conspiracies. I read many of the comments on Douglas Now with a great deal of entertainment, because what's funny here is a lot of the people who were commenting and saying this was some big conspiracy and all that stuff, there's some of the same people who accuse our deputies and our police officers of being nothing more than bumbling Barney Fifes who can't conduct an investigation, who can't get an incident report right, who can't do anything, who can't carry out the basic duties of their jobs. And I'm not saying that's the case at all, but that's what people say. Follow the comments. Look at what people say on social media. So you're telling me that people who you think aren't intelligent enough to do their jobs could carry out some type of conspiracy like this. And the other thing about conspiracy theories is they never end. You can just add another layer to it. It's ongoing. And before long, you've got the entire country involved in this conspiracy or in a conspiracy. So that's what tickles me. Now, I will believe something if you can give me some proof, if you can give me something credible, if you can give me something that is plausible. All right. But until you provide me with something like that, I'm not interested. All right. And I have not heard anything credible about this. People just say, oh, they must have killed him. You know what? Didn't happen. All right. He took his own life. The GBI has said that he took his own life. And the officers survived. They're recovering. They will never be the same. Their families will never be the same. But they should get some closure from the fact that Mr. Davey is no longer with us. But I will say this. It was a big story, but it was one that also entertained me, because I love the comments. I love the social media detectives. I love the social media attorneys. It really tickles me. The conspiracies, they just keep piling on. Yeah, but what about this? What about this? What about this? And, before long, you've got the FBI involved in a cover-up or something. It's crazy. Anyway, story hot off the press. Posted this right as we logged on today. A report of possible child abuse from the school system ended up with officers arresting a 29-year-old. Press release from the Coffee County Sheriff's Office states that on December the 9th, 2025, the Department of Family and Children's Services notified the Sheriff's Department about a possible case of child abuse. DFAC stated that they've been contacted by personnel at Coffee Middle School after a student reported concerns that a fellow student may have been physically abused by a parent. CMS personnel conducted a preliminary investigation and noticed some bruising on the child. Based on those findings, DFACs notified the Coffee County Sheriff's Office for further investigation. The details are in the story. I'm not going to read the whole press release. But after officers conducted their investigation, they found that they believed that some type of child abuse had taken place, and they arrested 29-year-old Jose Hernandez Gutierrez and booked him into the Coffee County Jail. He was taken into custody without incident that same day on December the 9th and charged with cruelty to children in the first degree. The investigation remains active and ongoing. No more details will be released to protect the identity of the child as much as possible. Sheriff Fred Cole stated, "It is the mission of the Sheriff's Office to protect the innocent and hold offenders accountable. We stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves, and we will do so every time. As always, if you see something, say something. Your awareness and willingness to speak up could save a life." School system personnel are mandatory reporters. If they see something, they have to say something. And for those who may not believe that the school system's policies work, that the school system is paying attention and looking after the children under their care, which is a preposterous statement, but there are people who believe that. This is a case where those policies and procedures appear to have worked. Now, once again, Mr. Gutierrez is presumed innocent until he is convicted or until he pleads guilty. But yes, there was probable cause. He was charged, and that's when the system works. The system is not perfect. All right, no system is perfect. When I say the system, I'm talking about all of our systems as a whole, not necessarily the school system, but there are flaws in every institution that we have. All right, but for the most part, things work and work well, and this is one of those cases. So let's take a look at our tower cam. We have sunshine. It got a little rough this week. We had some cold weather. It appears that, a lot of that brutal biting cold that we had early in the week and then that we also had a couple of weeks ago, we will not have to deal with moving forward. It's going to be in the 30s here for the next couple of days, a low in the 30s, but it's going to warm up well in the afternoons. In fact, this morning when I woke up, I dressed for cold weather. I walked outside and I said, you know what? It's not that cold out. So I put the hoodie up, put my jacket up, and was able to wear short sleeves. And it's a nice day. It feels good outside, and it should be a beautiful day and a beautiful weekend. So a beautiful weekend to get out and enjoy the Christmas parade. So those are our top stories here in Douglas and Coffee County for Thursday, December the 11th, 2025. I hope everyone is having a wonderful week. We are speeding towards Christmas. We are speeding towards the end of the year. We will be in the short rows officially tomorrow. Once the Christmas parade has happened, then we can see Santa Claus in sight. It won't be long before he gets here. If anything breaks between now and Tuesday, we will meet then. If not, we will see you on Tuesday. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We'll see you next time.